Hola, buenos días. Es Nico.
Gay asses. Gay. Dick in the booty asses.
So today, essentially, we're going to be talking about a dynamic of social dating apps, hookup apps, etc. that I have not priorly addressed. And it's stemming from the whole, before we get started, if you like this kind of content, make sure to follow me on patreon.com/Nicosaesthetics for multiple videos a week, weekly lives, and good conversation/community. If you like this kind of environment, try to join the Discord and the link in the box down below. I'm done plugging my social medias, blah, 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 blah. You already know what it is. But essentially, this conversation is stemming from the Netflix documentary called The Tinder Swindler. I began to watch it, but halfway through, I stopped watching because I'm like, these bitches is dumb. I'm sorry, these bitches is dumb. This guy, like, pretended to be an heir to a diamond fortune and then would just scam these women out of hundreds of thousands of dollars because he would be like, my ops are after me after a couple of months of courting, so I need you to, like, take out loans for me so that I can properly navigate and spend money without them tracking my cards. And they're like, of course, babe. And I'm just sitting there like, absolutely not. But this conversation started from there because people begin to swiftly talk about how dangerous dating apps are. Hookup apps. The only apps that are used for dating are usually like Tinder, I think, Hinge. I think that's what that is. I was out of the game when that one came out, so I don't know much about that. But, OkCupid, etc. So, hookup apps are like Grindr, Jacked, what other one? Guy Spy? I don't know if you remember that. That was back in like high school days. So yeah, point is they were talking about the dangers that come with these dating and hookup apps and how you're basically just meeting up with a stranger who you don't know has the best intent for you. So someone brought up an interesting conversation because people were actively shaming those that did use hookup and dating apps, saying that they were essentially walking targets for people like this. And the conversation point was essentially, as a femme, dark-skinned black person, I would not have had the same romantic and/or sexual opportunities that I've had throughout my life, if not for dating and hookup apps. I would not have had relationship experience. I would not have met my gay friends. I would not have made such intense connections with people in my community if I did not have these apps. And I wanted to bring that discussion to the forefront because, like I said, it's a dynamic I have never actually tackled when I'm discussing dating and hookup apps. So, if you don't know my background, I'm from a very obscure small country town. And then I moved to Houston, Texas. So, I was not out, nor did I understand my sexuality back when I was in the small country town, so it didn't really apply to me. But whenever I would go visit, I would have the apps, because back then I was still single and on the apps. And the community is small. The community is small, especially compared to such a large city like Houston. So in Houston, you know, there's a little gayborhood. There's like 5 or 6 gay bars. Then there's like Midtown and the Heights, where you find a more mixing of the hetero and the homosexual and all that in between umbrella. But then there's the straight areas, you know, so there's a large pool of places and people to go to and meet down here. But where I'm from, there is nothing of the sort. There's no gay bars, there's no gay spots. I don't even think there's like a legitimate bar. It's like a small town. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, I don't remember like a legitimate bar anywhere in that city. Maybe in like downtown. But yeah, it's one of those cities where it's like, I can't recall a singular bar. Sure, there probably were some and I was just a kid and didn't notice, but I don't remember any that were like eye-catching, you know? So I understand that argument of without dating and hookup apps, a lot of rural gays would not have access to their community. Because, you know, homophobia is alive and well, especially in rural country towns or rural areas. So if you're not in a big city where there's a diverse nightlife, where there's a diverse culture and groups of people, you're the odd man out. and you're on the fringes of society. So you have to navigate in a discreet yet calm way. So yes, it still poses a danger. Hell, it poses even more of a danger when we're in these rural and or discreet necessary places where violence is a very real possibility, especially in like rural country towns. Once your tea is out, everybody knows your tea. So it's really a you move in quiet, you move in secret, and you keep to yourself kind of thing. So without these apps, I can't imagine what it would be like trying to date, trying to hook up. Because I remember back in those days, I did not have a grasp on my sexuality, but I did have gay friends. I know, weird. Like, people would always ask me, Nico, why are you hanging out with them? And I'm like, I don't know, I think they're neat. Because I was secretly, you know, one of the leg booty community. But I would naturally gravitate towards those people because it's just a sense of security knowing that even if you don't truly understand who you are, there are people that understand who they are, and they're more accepting because they are in the fringes of society. So they're gonna take you in because you're one of them. So I mean, I have friends like that, and I remember I didn't have apps because I was in like middle school. This is back in middle school. But I remember one of my associates, I don't know if, should I say his name? It's his associates because he was the friend of a friend. I'll call him Jarrell. And I remember there was a situation where Jarrell, a middle school student, was talking to a grown-ass man who at one point locked him in his house and told him he ain't going nowhere for a few days. So I mean, shit like that happens. And that's a danger that we need to talk about when it comes to dating apps, where you get involved with these people that are older, who have more agency, is just because of their physical power being able to overwhelm you, their financial resources, because at the end of the day, you're a teenager. You don't know any better. What are you gonna do if a grown man locks you inside his house and says you're not going anywhere? And then Jarrell proceeded to continue dating that person afterwards. And I remember when my friend told me that story, I'm like, that's so scary. He's like, it's just what it is. Because that's what it's like growing up in rural areas. There aren't a lot of dating options. Odds are you're gonna end up with somebody that's a lot older. It's gonna be a strange power dynamic. So I mean, I understand the necessity for apps, especially when it comes to these situations where you have to move in secret, where you can't just outwardly walk around proud, where you have to find members of your community because everybody is forced into this DL sector, but it still poses a danger. So I want to ask your opinions. Do you think that gay dating and hookup apps are still necessary? Especially because a lot of us come from this mindset of people who are in large areas with a diverse community. But like I said, when I was in that small country town and Jarrell was in that situation, we weren't in a diverse like community. There was maybe 50 gay people, 50 gay to bisexual people on the apps. And then not even all of them were completely out. Like sometimes it would just be a blank profile. So I mean, you never really know who's in your environment except when you get on these apps. So I definitely understand the necessity of it, especially when you're in those situations, but it still poses a danger. So I know I'm rambling at this point, but I definitely want your opinion. Do you think that it holds a necessity? Can you see the purpose that gay dating and hookups apps have for people who are in these situations where they can't properly navigate their community, where they don't have access to a large dating pool? Do you believe that they should just wait until they can move out of the area and find a more inclusive space to meet people? Because I mean, most places, unless it's just like a rural state like Alabama or something, you know, they have these big cities that you can go to and there's odds are going to be some kind of LGBT nightlife. But that's not a guarantee for everyone. But definitely drop your opinions down below because I'm genuinely curious on this conversation because we've never talked about it. So once again, do you think that gay dating and hookup apps are a necessity for some? Or do you believe that they should just be done with entirely, especially after the Tinder swindler, the robbings, the, you know, the hate crimes, etc., because they do still pose a physical danger despite their necessity, in my opinion. But yeah.
And once again, a quick thank you to all my patrons on Patreon, and a quick shout out to my third eye tier patrons. Your support means everything to me and helps me do this a lot more smoothly. I will also be listing this week's live stream topic in case anybody wants to join in on the fun. I will see you guys there.